MLB trade deadline is less than a week away. It's a week from Monday. It's August 3rd. And the biggest question isn't just who gets traded, it's what those moves say about each team's ambition. The Dodgers are in their own category, World Series or bust. Teams like the Yankees, Braves, Brewers, and Rays are contenders in their leagues, but they have to decide whether now is the time to go all in. Padres are one of the most fascinating teams, of course. They have the talent to compete, but the big question is whether they need another frontline star to become a real October threat. Meanwhile, teams like the Mets and Giants have to decide whether to sell after disappointing seasons. The trade deadline doesn't just reshape rosters, it reveals which teams truly believe they can win a championship. Every year leading up to the MLB trade deadline, we spend weeks asking the same questions. Who should buy? Who should sell? Who needs pitching? Who needs offense? But sometimes the most important question isn't what move will a team make? It's what does the move tell us about how the team sees itself? That's the idea behind MLB's ambition tiers on MLB.com heading into the August 3rd deadline, because every trade tells a story. A team trading for an ace is saying, we believe this is our year. A team adding a bullpen arm is saying, we're close, but we're not going all in. And a team selling while sitting near contention is telling everyone, we don't think this roster is good enough. And with so many teams still fighting for playoff spots, this deadline could reveal which franchises truly believe they belong in October. Let's start with tier number 1, World Series or bust.
World Series or bust, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I think that's basically it.
Tier 2, contending,
moving on.
Contending sustainably. The Yankees, Brewers, Rays, and Braves. These are franchises that expect to be competitive every single year. The Yankees might have been in Tier 1 if not for injuries, especially the uncertainty surrounding Aaron Judge. But if Judge returns healthy, New York immediately becomes one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. Atlanta are interesting because they have experience making aggressive deadline moves. Alex Anthopoulos has shown he will trade prospects if he believes a championship window is open. The Brewers and Rays are fascinating because they have reached this position without spending like traditional contenders. So the big question is, well, number one, do they finally push all of their chips into the middle? And two, with you being a part owner of the Atlanta Braves, have you thrown your hat into the ring here with Alex Anthopoulos?
These 4 teams in particular, I don't think the Yankees have interesting enough prospects to make too many significant moves. The more we look into this, because of the fact that they were interested in Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon, the more I just go, I don't really like what they have to offer. And especially if they're not going to offer George Lombard Jr. I mean, they have the 26th best farm system in baseball for a reason. I mean, they have a couple of good players here and there, but notice the names they keep dangling out there. They're players that aren't very good. It's like Will Warren is not very good. I mean, even a team like the Padres that needs starting pitching, it would be a mistake to get a guy like Will Warren. He's not that great. He's not knock your socks off. Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez. I mean, these are guys that the Yankees don't want anymore. And if they're going to make any type of significant trade, they're going to have to give up a Dax Kilby. They're going to have to give up a George Lombard Jr. I see they add at the fringes. I don't think they have the capital to potentially actually add what they need to add. The Brewers, until they go all in, I will refuse to believe that they will ever go all in. They haven't shown that once over the last handful of years. They've made the playoffs, I think, 7 out of the last 8 years, and they've gotten bumped by the Dodgers in almost every single one of them, or they have failed to advance in the playoffs. Is because they take away from their team more than they add to their team at the deadline. The Rays are always a little cautious, right? They don't have too many resources. I don't think they go all in, but they'll definitely add at the deadline. And the Braves have the ability to go all in, and I think Atlanta does after the last couple of seasons of being disappointing due to injuries, plus the fact that they never really know if they're going to have a full team going in October or not. They always get some rough injuries here and there, but that gets us to tier 3 and teams that can make noise in October. I mean, it's like the Phillies and the Cubs who have, they're both, if they combine teams, they'd be really good. Cubs have no pitching. Phillies have no offense. Red Sox are just on a resurgence right now. But, I mean, everybody wanted that entire front office fired about a month ago. Mm-hmm. The Guardians are always around. right? And Seattle takes another big loss on Monday, and their schedule is difficult, and it's going to get even more difficult. And they got no offense, and the thing that they have is pitching, and their pitching is not really helping them out right now. I mean, this is the most interesting group of the bunch.
We spoke about it on Monday's show about Lance McCullers, who got DFA'd by the Milwaukee Brewers, and how willing would you be to take a flyer on Lance McCullers, who's coming off of injury, but he has been a frontline starter for a contending team in the Houston Astros. Right at the very end of our show on Monday, the Chicago Cubs, who, what have we said about the Cubs all season long? With how many pitching injuries they have had, they need starting pitching. They need pitching more than anything else. They just DFA'd Jameson Taillon. I would be so much more willing to take a flyer on Lance McCullers than I would Jameson Taillon, because if the Cubs need pitching as bad as they are, you'd kind of have to suck it up with a guy like Jameson Taillon, and they even cut bait with him. So I would be so much more interested in seeing a guy like McCullers instead of Jameson Taillon, and that just goes to show how bad a season that Taillon has had with the desperate need for pitching that the Chicago Cubs have had this year.
And that goes to the next tier, tier 4. Is it really worth it? But mostly, like, where do the Padres fit? You know, I mean, they're in the most fascinating category. They're alongside teams like Arizona, Texas, Houston, Baltimore, Minnesota, Detroit. I mean, these are teams that enter the deadline in a position where the front office has to decide, are we close enough to truly go for it? Or is it time to think about, let's make sure we're good to go for 2027. The Padres have always been aggressive under A.J. Preller, and that's why they continue to be connected with big names, Tarek Skubal, Joe Ryan, Freddie Peralta. But this season, it presents a very interesting challenge for the Pods because they have enough talent to make noise, and they have the dominant bullpen, they have the stars, but they don't have enough starting pitching, and they don't have anything to go get starting pitching. And that's where things get very interesting, because if this Padres team, as they're playing right now, on Monday being 500 and coming off of a 500 road trip and being 2 games out of a wild card with the bullpen they have and the offense now hitting, if they had prospects to trade, they 100% will be all in, trying to go get a couple starters and let's get after. But the fact that they don't really have that, and it's a seller's market, and you don't have enough to get more than just one starting pitcher in terms of competition, it makes the question, is it really worth it to go for it? My opinion on this is, I think it depends what you give up, but I think you have to try to win every year that you have the opportunity to do so. But I don't necessarily know they have what it takes to do. I don't think they're in a position where they can make an A.J. Preller blockbuster move.
No.
I think that's out of the cards. I mean, if you do that and you trade away Ethan Salas or Cruz Schoolcraft or whatever, and we talked about this before, with some people that know what's going on, and then they said, like, the AJ Preller's just going to refill with more young guys. I mean, you're in a position where you have to win, and you're trying to win and win at all costs. I get that, but at some point, and I get injuries are a factor for this season, but at some point you need something to come out of the minor leagues, and I'm not even a big believer in keeping minor league prospects. I mean, until they prove that they're legit, who cares? And if you look at the track record of what the Padres have traded away, there's only 2 guys that you wish you still had, and that's Abrams and
Wood.
I mean, even most of the guys in that trade, you don't even care if you still have anymore. You just played the Marlins, who are filled with Padre prospect cast-offs. You don't want any of those guys.
And the Nationals might be trading C.J. Abrams right now.
And then you look at like Leo DeVries. That guy, he still had never even made it to the big leagues yet. You have no idea what he's going to be. So I understand that side of it. But, I mean, there's a reason why you do have a farm system. You do have to have somebody roll through there eventually. So they're in a very difficult spot right now, and August 3rd is going to be very interesting for this club.
No, it absolutely is. It's going to be very interesting to see what A.J. Preller does.
Tier 5, we know they're a year early. I mean, this is not anything too surprising. I mean, the White Sox say they want to add, but they have a chance because they win their division. At that point, I think they got to add maybe something, but they can't get too crazy. And I believe, and I said this at the beginning of the year. I don't think the Marlins, Nationals, or Cardinals are going to hang around, and they're all starting to fall back down to earth, and really showing that they shouldn't really be adding right now at the deadline. I thought the Marlins could have,
Yeah.
but then they lost 12 straight, and
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden, as we talked about last Friday with the Marlins, it was like Sandy got to keep him now because this team's still around, but. The more they lose, I mean, if they get swept in Philly, and it would be a 15-game losing streak, you got to start thinking about trading Sandy Alcantara at the deadline just as much as you would just trying to keep the guy, because Miami is playing their way out of competition.
Yeah, I was, of those teams, I was the most confident in Miami based off of what they did at the end of last year. But yeah, I can't. You can't after a 12-game losing streak unless you go and win these next 6 or 7 games. I cannot see Miami buying at the trade deadline at all.
There's a lot of sellers and rebuilders. That's basically everybody else. And whether or not they have something worth selling will be interesting to see, as the trade deadline is August 3rd in the next handful of days. It'll be a week from Monday. And we'll have you covered on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Sports Station.